Hello and welcome to our latest video. The theme is public transport.
Which is a common topic on IELTS.
We hope you find it useful. Let's begin. So let's talk about public transport. Now, when you're discussing this topic, it's really good idea to not keep using the word public transport. There are lots of different ways you can explain the transport situation. So first of all, we can talk about infrastructure. This is the broad overall term that refers to all different kinds of public transport in a town or a city. So what are those kinds of transport? Well, of course there's a bus or a double-decker, which is the famous red buses that you sometimes see in London. A streetcar or a tram. Maybe if you visualize those really steep hills in San Francisco where the streetcars go up. Trains, high-speed railways, monorails. These are single track trains and they're usually electrified, so they're good for the environment. A magnetic levitation system. This is a railway that's elevated and off the ground. Rapid transit, the underground or subway, or if you live in London, the tube. This is an underground train network. A domestic flight, so if you are going to fly internally within a country, it's called a domestic flight. Maybe you're in Asia, in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and you'll be going by tuk-tuk, those very fast and maneuverable three-wheel public transport. Perhaps you live in Switzerland on a mountain. You need a cable car to get you from top to bottom. Or maybe you need a ferry to cross the water to get you from A to B. So when we're talking about going from home to work or your place of study, we talk about commuting. You can commute to your university or your place of work and back again to your house. To get around on foot. Well, this is definitely the cheapest way of transportation, and in England we call it using Shanks's pony. It just means you're going to be walking. To board a packed train, to take the train, to get on or off the bus or train. So when you're describing the process of boarding or deboarding a public transport, think about different kinds of verbs that would best explain what you're doing. Maybe you are going to use a ferry and it's a long journey, so you have to book a cabin. Well, if you have lots of money, you are going to need a one-berth cabin. This means just for one person. However, maybe you need to share. That's usually the cheaper option. So there is two-berth or four-berth. That just means the number of beds that are in the small cabin. Bound for. This is the destination. Often on the front of a train or a bus, that will be the end point of the journey. The train or bus terminates. That's usually a major bus or train station where the train stops. A bus or train station concourse. That's pretty simple. That's just the main hall where you would wait and find which bus number or train platform that you need to use to travel. And finally, a round trip. Well, that just means you are going from your home to work or your place of study and back again.
Let's talk about your travel expenses. So a fare, that's the ticket that you buy to use public transport. There is also one more type of a fare. This is a concession fare. This is a reduced price for certain groups of people, students, seniors, or some passengers with disabilities. Nowadays, you use contactless payment. So you top up your card, maybe an app, a phone, you just swipe it and you go through a ticket barrier. You may also buy a ticket and then you need to validated. If you deliberately do not buy a ticket, you are basically a fare jumper and you break the law. We don't recommend it. Now let's play a game. Try to choose the correct lexical unit. So picture one, a streetcar or rapid transit. The second one, a ticket barrier or fare jumper. Good. And the third picture, the train is bound or the train terminates.
What kind of transportation do you usually take?
Well, in truth, it depends on where I go. Usually I get around by car. If I want a cheaper option, then probably I go by metro to my university, which is a stone's throw from my home, and it's within easy reach of the station. Does the city have a lot of public transport?
Yes, it does. I live in Hiroshima in Japan, and we have a really big developed infrastructure of public transport. We have buses, of course, streetcars, trains. We even have a monorail that was built for the Asian Games a few years back. What we don't have is a subway because there are too many rivers. How important is it for a city to have public transport links?
Well, a robust public transportation is the backbone of any modern city. I think it allows for better urban planning, it fosters economic growth, and basically the most important, it reduces traffic congestion. Do you think public transportation should be free for everyone?
No, I don't think so. However, there should definitely be concessions for certain groups, such as those on low incomes, students, OAPs, and those with mental or physical incapacities. But also, I think it is important that public transport is cheaply available for all those that wish to use it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the pros and cons of public transport. High capacity public transport system. This is a good thing. This means that there are lots of available types of transport for people to use, and also usually the trains or buses or trams are frequent, and so there are many options. Operate with impeccable reliability. Well, this is another good thing. This means that the public transport system is not prone to delays. It means you'll get your bus or train at the time specified. Lengthy delays. This is not so good. This means you'll be waiting for your bus, maybe at the bus stop, in the cold, in the rain, for a long time. Trains are subject to delay. Well, if you spent any time in the UK, you will be used to this. This means the trains are running late. Trains are insufficient in some areas. Again, this usually hits people who live more in the countryside or out of the urban area. This just means that there are less public transport options for them to use. Crammed or rammed. This again, not so good. It means that maybe you're on a train and there's so many people that you're tightly together. Packed in like sardines. Well, this is very similar to the previous phrase. It means that there is just no space, and actually it's very difficult to get on or off the type of transport. An arduous journey. Well, arduous means very difficult and usually quite long. So you better be prepared and take some breaths so you get there without being too tired. Arrive in plenty of time. Well, this is always a good thing. This means that you've used maybe a train or a bus, but you have arrived earlier than you were planning to do. And this is a good phrase just to end with. I got to the train station in the nick of time. This means that you just managed to reach your train just before the doors closed and it sped away.
When was the last time you used public transport?
Well, actually, it was just a few hours ago. We got on the subway at Vienna Central Station to come into the city centre, and it was really crowded. There was lots of hustle and bustle and noise, and it was a bit like being packed in like sardines because it's a Saturday afternoon, but the fare was cheap. Do you think you will use public transport a lot in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I travel, I always use public transport, be it metro or bus. But when I'm at home, of course, I am behind the wheel. One of the positives of using public transportation in cities like Vienna is that it operates with impeccable reliability, and it's that easy. You basically buy a ticket, you validate it, and you get to your destination. And what would you like to change about the public transport in your city?
Oh wow, I'd like to change so many things. First of all, travelling by train can be pretty arduous at times. Also, the trains are often subject to delays. The ticket prices are not cheap. So yeah, I think my biggest change would be to make the trains run on time, and also there to be more concession prices for people so it's easier to travel. How can public transport be improved to have more people using it?
Well, if it's not operating up to scratch, then probably improve it. If the trains are cramped, if they are subject to delays, then I think the government or authorities should tackle this problem. So here is a task for you. Try to practice what you have just learned. So insert the missing words into the sentences. You could stop the video and complete the tasks at your own pace. You will see all the answers at the end of our video.
Okay, let's move to speaking part number 2. Describe a time you made a journey by public transport. Okay, so you should think about saying some of the following things. When you travelled, where did you travel, what was the purpose of your travel, and maybe even how did you feel about travelling?
One of the most enriching experiences I've ever had concerning public transport was definitely a journey from Zurich to Zermatt in Switzerland. This is a route renowned for its breathtaking scenery. So 2 years ago, my significant other was planning a trip to one of the top-tier resorts, and in truth, he would brush me off any time I dropped any hints about Switzerland. So I had to use all my feminine wiles, to convince him.
Hey, it was my idea to go to Switzerland.
We embarked on our journey in August, and it lasted a fortnight or so. Rather than opting for an internal flight, we deliberately chose this scenic panoramic carriage with slightly curved windows that offered an unobstructed view. And in truth, we were mesmerized the whole way through to Zermatt. We were glued to the windows, contemplating these sumptuous landscapes and emerald-colored lakes. So it was really beautiful. What sets this journey apart from all other journeys on public transport is probably the fact that it offered the sense of efficiency and leisure. It wasn't riddled with delays or any other logistical hurdles. And even if it had been, I think we would still have enjoyed such beauty and would not have any regrets at all. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video. Oh, Jamie, I found the cake.
Huh? What? Where?